If there's somebody who's suffering from hair loss right now, what is the one thing they need to change? Should one wash their hair every day? Does hair oiling help the scalp? I always lose a lot of hair. Is that normal? Why does one say that trimming your hair every few months will help with your hair growth? True or false?
Cutting the hair is the same as cutting the nail.
Is there a difference between hair loss and hair fall? What about the foods we eat? Are there particular foods that trigger hair growth?
The only way to develop a hair which is active, dynamic, strong, elastic, thick is I know people that probably remove their makeup once a week. And
Don't say that.
Even with the shampoo commercials, you don't see anyone washing their hair here like this. I'm perfectly fine to show up in public. People are not going to feel shocked at the fact that I have no hair per se as a man. But that's not an option for a woman.
But Ricardo, tell me, what is the one thing that is the worst thing people do for their hair?
The worst thing people do for the hair is to...
This is a life-changing statement right here. Today we're going to be talking about something that so many of us suffer with. I think almost all of us, which is hair fall. We're going to talk about why hair fall happens, actually debunk the myths around it, because frankly, there are so many myths when it comes to hair fall, and actually get down to what the solutions are and scientifically backed solutions to this problem that so many of us kind of deal with, and it really bogs us down. This is very personal for me, by the way, today's episode, because I'm actually 5 months postpartum and I've been having the most intense hair fall ever. This is my second baby and it wasn't so bad with the first one, but it just really affects your mental health. So frankly, I want the answers today, whether anyone else wants it or not. So there is a very strong personal connect here. And today we have with us Ricardo Villanova. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Let me start with this question. If there's somebody who's suffering from hair loss right now, what is the one thing they need to change or stop doing immediately?
Well, if someone is suffering from hair loss, I think it's important to understand what type of hair loss are we talking about. So, are we talking about genetic predisposition hair loss or consequential hair loss? So that's two different things. If you have a genetic predisposition, then it's something that you need to look or you need to support the same way as any other genetic condition. Like when we talk about thyroid or immune or any type of degenerative genetic condition needs to
like
be addressed.
Like an autoimmune disease.
Exactly. So when there is androgenetic, which is the toughest one because it's part of your constitution, is what you inherit from mom and dad. So, and that is it kind of reveals from the puberty to the beginning of adult stage. And you can easily tell it's not about the high quantity of hair that you lose. Is when you're noticing throughout the renewal process, which could be very silent. So it's not that genetics, like all of a sudden you lose a huge amount of hair.
Yeah.
It kind of develops silently. So you starting to realize that the hair that you're renewing is not translating into newer growth. So the areas start becoming sparse and thinner. And most of the times when people realize that, they already lost a big percentage of hair. And if a body or if an organ, whatever it is, degenerates permanently, or if the follicle closes, then you cannot reactivate it anymore.
Okay.
So this is a genetic development type of hair loss.
Okay.
So it's very easy to spot, like as you look at your hair every day and you understand the amount, the quantity when you put it up. So you can kind of tell if you are prone for permanent reduction or not. Then we're moving on into all the consequential types of reduction. And the consequential are to do with reactions from the body. So it's actually very difficult to spot because hair does not interfere with any organ internally. Like whether you have hair or you don't have hair, the other organs function perfectly. But the other way around, it's
So if,
it's
an,
not the same.
if another organ is not functioning well,
So
it
if
will
you have
directly
thyroid
impact
or
your hair
hormonal
health.
or immune or post-pregnancy or medication or toxins or food intolerances, this can affect the hair as a
Mm.
consequence, not as a genetic.
Got it.
So
Okay.
give an example. Imagine me like I have no predisposition for genetics. I do treatments, obviously, and all of that. But as my genetic point, there is a very minimal type of reduction that I have, that I inherit. So
Okay.
from I'm now at the age of 45, and I know that I'm not going to lose the crown or the top. This is for sure my genetic. But I study and I test the hair and because I'm in the industry, but it's very obvious that you see people that have no genetics. They live with hair their entire lives. But if I would have touch wood, but if I would have to go under chemotherapy, for instance, tomorrow, the hair would fall.
Yeah. There's nothing
So
you can
it
do
is
about it.
nothing to do with the genetic. It's nothing to do with your constitution. It's to do with the consequence.
Yes. Okay. So let me simplify this. If, say, someone is having hair loss or hair fall, is there a difference between hair loss and hair fall?
Well, hair loss, it translates into reduction. So you're losing the hair, and usually is a permanent reduction. So
And hair fall is
suffering
you're
for
just
hair loss, it's usually related to the genetics. So
Got
the
it.
hair will fall
and not
and
come
doesn't
back.
come back. Yeah.
Okay. So if someone is suffering from hair loss because of genetics, are there things that could help them or no?
I mean, there is a huge range of technology that aims to minimize the genetic degeneration. So that's why I always teach my clients about the concept of treating genetic hair loss is the same as if you would have to address thyroid. It's not that you're doing for a period of time and you stop.
So also, Ricardo, it's very mental. For some reason, if the other organs in my body are not functioning at their optimum, I'm okay. But if my hair is not functioning at my optimum, my mental health is down in the dumps. It's down in the dumps.
I mean, you must realize that, that a lot of people, when they see changes on the hair, they immediately question, could that be hormones? Could that be mineral? Like, could that be lack of vitamins? Could that be hormonal? I think
the question to ask is, could it be genetics? Is that an important question to ask?
I think people kind of deny or feel too scared of like assuming that could be genetics, because genetics is definitely I think it's still the biggest taboo, because effectively people see it as the big monster. That if I announce to a person that you have a genetic predisposition for reduction, people feel like, okay, it's like a death sentence, like I'm gonna be bald. But if you get the news, okay, you have to take 75 milligrams of thyroxine for your thyroid to work well, you take that for the rest of your life tranquil. So it's the perception of how this genetic degeneration is going to impact you, because the thing is, the fact that you could have a genetic predisposition for a malfunction of every organ, it doesn't mean that the organ is disappearing or is going to die if you don't support it. The same way as you addressing organs that could degenerate genetically, you can do that with the hair. But bear in mind that if you catch it from early stage, you are able to teach or to preserve what is meant to be disappearing in a few years. So if you manage to catch it, and if you manage to suppress or minimize the impacts of the genetics on the hair, the same way as you do with thyroid, you actually manage to secure an amount of hair. But some people actually don't want to have the trouble, like especially men, like to turn up here without hair, and it could be a trichologist and could have a bald pattern, which is quite common. Like a lot of really? Trichologists have a bald head.
Is that what got them into the profession?
Probably. It doesn't mean that it's socially acceptable. for a man. So if I arrive to you with the sort of pattern reduction, is it's
It's
fine.
okay.
It's okay.
It's
Like
the average man.
I could be socially accepted. So I could decide not to do anything about this genetic degeneration because hair doesn't affect my body. What I'm gonna do, I shave it. I'm perfectly fine to show up in public. I walk into a building. I sit down in a meeting. I look in front of a camera, and I know on the other side, people are not gonna feel shocked at the fact that I have no hair per se as a man.
Absolutely.
But that's not an option for a woman. Like if a woman turns up with reduction, with a sort of a pattern developing in public, you can't avoid, like, your eyes will go immediately to the hair for a woman, and then people relate it like, oh, is the person unwell? Is that hormonal, or is maybe is the person undergoing chemotherapy? Like, people do question that, but you don't question that when you see a guy with a bold pattern. Like, you can see a guy with a full
Wow, Ricardo,
runway,
I've
and you're
never,
like,
yeah,
oh, the guy is bold. That's
sorry.
it. Like, it is socially
Yeah,
acceptable,
I've
and
never thought of this, by the way.
but that gives the people the option to do it or not. The thing, like now, like we started with a little bit with the consequential, like your postpartum, and now
Correct.
we are like in depth into the genetics, because
Yes.
genetics are tough. Genetics is what defines you as a person. This is your eye color, your hair color, your skin color, your blood type. This is what you inherit from your family. You cannot run away from it. You cannot, oh, tomorrow I want to have blue eyes. I mean, you can
Wear lenses,
in
yeah.
lasers and biohacking, but you cannot just take a pill and that changes. Like, the genetics are very, very difficult to control, but they can be optimized. Like, every degenerative condition that we could inherit from our family, when it comes to genetic reduction on the hair or hair loss, it can be addressed. It can be supported if you want to retain it, but it has to be taken serious, because it's not like a one course of medication for a month and the problem is solved. No, you have to see that exactly as you see any other degenerative condition.
Yeah, you need to see a specialist. You need to see a
Exactly.
doctor.
And you need to take blood tests, and you need to measure your metabolism and your biochemistry.
I have so many questions on this. But one quick thing, right? For someone who's watching, how do they identify, is this genetics hair fall or hair loss? Or is it because of another factor in my life? How can they, sitting at home, be able to identify this?
Look, genetics usually don't show, like postpartum, for instance. People that going through genetic reduction, they just not suddenly lose a huge amount of hair. So this is a factor that can easily help you to identify if you're going through a consequential or a genetic. So if someone's taking medication, antibiotic, surgery, postpartum, COVID, any surgery, so anything that could have caused a major impact onto the immune system or into even your nerve system, like a period with emotional shock or a breakdown
Or stress.
So usually the reduction doesn't happen immediately at that point. So let's say, like, I had a huge stress this month or an emotional shock with the family, but then I feel the reduction a bit later on, a bit maybe 4-5 months later. And it's quite difficult to relate one with the other, because you tend to forget what causes you trauma.
Yes.
So you start seeing all this hair falling and say, oh yeah, because I had this emotional stress. So no, you immediately think, oh my God, I'm going bald. Like, it's genetic kicking in. So you need to reevaluate what is causing this excessive shedding. So usually when you lose a big amount, which is beyond the norm, and I don't want to mention here a norm, because otherwise people will start counting their hairs and say, okay, I'm in 100 and it's normal. Again, the norm is what you have as a reference. So 100 for me is not 100 for you, is not 100 for the person that only has 100 hairs. That's for sure. So you have a reference of the amount of hair that can fall.
Got it.
If you feel that is way above the average, and that because you can also lose it seasonally throughout the renewal. You also lose a bigger quantity, but you pretty much know when is that time of the year. But if it's randomly happening, if this huge amount of hair persists, you can almost 100% tell that this is a consequence, not genetic.
Okay.
You can have genetic underneath. That's a different thing.
That's a different thing.
So even
Yeah,
if you have
absolutely.
genetics, you're still going to have the consequential.
Got it.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's possible to, yes, I get it. No, that makes so much sense. And I'm also inside, I'm like, so happy because,
because you
I'm
haven't
like,
been dealing. Look, you haven't been dealing with reduction since puberty, and this is very new for you in terms of
Yeah.
like the amount of hair that is shedding is something that is obviously worrying you. But if you would know, if you would have been experiencing genetics by this point, you would know. You would, because
I would know because it would have been gradual and
it would
over
be
a period of
gradual,
years.
yeah. And then pregnancies, post pregnancies would make you very scared, because you would expect, because women talk, right? You kind of
We talk a lot.
you mentally prepare that you're going to lose a huge amount of hair, and then you kind of sometimes you can get spared from it, like God protects you, and say, oh, this one won't lose as much hair, and say, oh my God, I was so lucky, had my baby, and after pregnancy I didn't lose any hair. And
oh my God, I've heard that.
I'm like,
and I'm like, wait,
it happened with the first one for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, I still lost hair, but now when someone tells me, oh, I didn't have any hair fall, I'm like, where is the nearest vase? Because I'm going to take it and throw it at this person. That's the one thing you don't want to hear.
But it happened to you on the first one, like you didn't consider it much. You had a bit, but now on the second one, you're like, wow, like what is happening? Like I'm going to end up with no hair. Look, when it's consequential, there's two things you need to keep an eye on. Is obviously the quantity freaks you out. I understand. And there's technology to help minimize that. And we can slow down this process and minimize the consequences on the hair, which is completely different than the genetics. We don't use medication or technology for the genetics when it's consequential. Okay. You don't put anyone on hormonal therapy if they have hormonal issues. To treat genetics or to treat consequential types of reduction. So you need to be very careful what you're applying on. And picking up the point about what you said, I don't mind if I have other organ malfunctioning, I want hair. This is a very tricky one because you may be taking medication that could inhibit you from pregnancy, affect your fertility, affect your hormonal cycle and your menstrual cycle, and it could give you hair in other areas that you don't want, and it can cause you water retention and heavy metals in the body and toxins and
so you have to be careful.
You have to be careful.
Okay, so let me just simplify this. So we have genetic and we have consequential. These are the two large causes for hair fall and hair loss. The treatments and the solutions for both are different. Okay, correct?
Correct.
Now I want to ask you a few more questions, which is generic hair myths, right? Which is, I think, something that we all, and especially women, kind of deal with on a daily basis. These kind of decisions that shake up our entire living. And should one wash their hair every day or once in a few days?
So let's group this into, let's put 4 categories about hair, so then we can explore them. Let's put this in order. So we're talking about scalp, we're talking about hair roots, and we're talking about the mineral part, and we're talking about the constitution or the genetic influence. So we have 4 groups, right?
So scalp.
We
the root is my bottom.
The root. So the root, let's say the factory of the hair. So the relation between the bulb and the root of the hair, the mineral parts, and the genetics.
So, but what about this hair? What about this part?
This hair is already built. If you cut the hair, you don't bleed. It's like the nail. It's a material that is already has already been constructed.
Okay.
The factory is inside of the skin. So it's
all about this part.
So the hair grow. You have to treat the hair on the outside. You have to to put the protein and your conditioner, and you have to put your heat protectors. This is a material that you can play with. This is hair that has been built already. So this hair has color, has its own elasticity, it has its own diameter. But this hair that you see here, once upon a time, was inside of the skin. So it was a combination of cuticle and protein that define the hair structure.
Got it.
Without cuticle, there's no hair. Without protein, there's no hair. Without the bulb, there's no hair. So we need to have all these elements about it.
Got it.
So question about the washing. Washing, so we need to get those four groups so you know what we're talking about. So washing belongs to the scalp. So how you cleanse the scalp, in my perspective, and you work with skin, and this is how I kind of broke through the hair treatments, not just because of the hair material itself, is because scalp is skin.
Okay.
And it's just the extension of the skin. You don't have a line that separates skin and scalp. Scalp is just thicker, and it hosts a huge amount of follicles that creates the hair that we have, but it is skin. So it means that you need to cleanse your skin according to your skin type, using the moisturizers according to your skin type, the toners according to your skin types, the protection according to your skin type, the sun protector, the technologies that regenerate, that tonify, that remove congestion and pimples and excess oiliness. Think of scalp as skin. Just think of scalp as skin. It has nothing to do with the factory of the hair, cuticle and bulb. It has nothing to do with the minerals. It has nothing to do with the genetics. It belongs to the scalp. It belongs to the skin. So washing your hair every day or not, I wash my hair every day. It may not work for you because I am very oily. Maybe yours is very dry. So the compensation that we're going to use, the selection of the product we're going to use is going to be very personal. Is going to be according to how my scalp is going to feel with this product. How much cleanse do I need? So it's the same with the skin. I know people that probably remove their makeup once a week. And
Don't say that.
No, but it's true. And they don't have any skin problem. They have,
really,
they get on with it, and it just, they don't react. And maybe you I don't know, you go out one night and you're just a little bit more free and tired, and you forgot one step of your skincare, and next day your skin is all breaking out. So it really depends about how our own skin or our own scalp is naturally, because when you wash your hair or your scalp, there's many factors you take in consideration. You take in consideration if your scalp is sensitive, is reactive, if it's flakes, if it's oily, if it's dry. You don't think of the washing rituals so much. Of course, you think of the hair. You think of if the washing is going to upset the root of the hair. If the washing is going to catalyze more further reduction or not. Is the water going to make the mold, or is going to rotten the roots, as people say? No, because it would also do the same with the eyebrows and the beard and people that have a lot of hair on the body. So if it would be with the water, it would not just affect one area in specific when it's genetics. But it's like, oh, I'm losing hair in the crown. Is that because I wash it? Because when I enter the shower, I just put the shower right here. Not
I've
really. Like this is genetics. Like it's nothing to do with the water here or there, or you can even wash your hair upside down. It doesn't matter. Genetics are genetics, and the water would not go to the roots.
But how does someone know if they have what kind of, say, skin they have in the scalp? How do you know what kind of, like, I know, for example, my hair gets oily on the second or third day after washing it.
So that's already one reference that you know.
Okay, so that means I have an oily scalp?
So for me, I wouldn't be able to tell you, like, on the spot.
Yes.
That you get oily on the third day unless you tell me. So by giving me this information, like to me, or even your cosmetologist or your hairdresser, you say like, my hair, I blow dry it. It lasts me for 2-3 days. So they will naturally pick the right component to give you the balanced cleanse according to how your hair responds. So if you go to a salon, you have the blow dry, you turn up the next day to see, oh, you washed my hair with these products, and on the day two it became extremely oily, they'll readjust to a more cleanser shampoo to make your blow dry last longer per se.
Okay.
Because they try what the cleansers do. They try to control the amount of grease that the
Okay.
glands produce.
Okay.
The shampoos will not stop the hair from being oily. So, meaning, if from one day to another my scalp becomes oilier or very oily, I will need to wash it more often. It's a very easy. It's a very easy reaction that you'll have. So oily, you wash it more. But then you get concerned, is that going to affect the hair? No, it's not going to affect the hair, the fact that you need to wash it every day. In fact, it's like the skin. If you leave toxins or if you don't cleanse it properly, you're creating congestion. And by creating congestion on the roots, you can later on upset the environment where the hair grows. So because on the skin, all the toxins or the pimples or blackheads come directly on the pore. On the scalp, they are drained down through the follicle. So if you're creating a buildup inside of the follicle, later on, it can translate into inflammation and it can upset the bulb.
Okay.
And that can create a certain reduction. And it has nothing to do with the genetics again.
Okay, so let me rephrase this. Is washing hair every day bad for you?
Do you think?
You wash your hair every day.
For 45 years.
Wow.
I need to do it. It's my necessity. It's not because I wash my hair every day. And in fact, I can sometimes wash it in the morning, and then if I work out in the afternoon and I perspire, then I wash it again.
And do you use product every time?
Yeah.
Okay. How much product should one use?
Well, it's according pretty much to the amount of hair. But normally it's like a camera, like this much. But then if the head is really thick, and you sometimes need a little bit more product. The shampoo should be applied onto the roots. So that's the area you want to address. So even with the shampoo commercials, you don't see anyone washing the hair here like this. You see always coming with the massage, and it comes on the roots. You kind of leave the lengths out. So you don't bring the shampoo on the strand.
This is a life-changing statement right here.
How do you wash your hair? Now, when you go to the salon, they apply the product.
But I
in
can't
the scalp,
see, right, Ricardo, because my hair's at the back.
It.
No, they're touching my hair. They're touching all of it.
Touching your head. If they touching your hair, you wouldn't feel. You would just feel the movement. They have to wash it.
This is how I've been washing my hair my whole life.
And then you can say, like, you can be very vigorous when they
I'll do all of that.
Or they can be very gentle. If you feel like someone is being aggressive because you may be sensitive, and that's a different thing. So if I'm washing someone's hair and I feel that they react or they're sensitive,
you'll be gentle.
You'll be gentle, but then you also will address that. You can then you go into the range of the cleansers that are for hypersensitive skin, scalp, sensitive scalp, reactive scalp. So sometimes even to the touch or to the water contact or product contact, the scalp reacts. It gets red. It feels uncomfortable. You would know that. So you touch a product random, and everybody says, "Oh my God, this product is very good. It's amazing. It does this and that." And obviously, everybody runs and buy it and try. And some people like, "Oh my God, I tried it and reacted on me, like made my scalp all flaky, like." And then you almost want to go out and say, "This product is rubbish. No one should use it." But there's some people swearing by it.
Yeah, but it just doesn't work for you.
That's the thing. You need to understand that technology aims to deliver certain results, and our body reacts to some components. So some is exactly like the skin. So if you bring technologies like retinol or glycolic acids that aim to renew the skin, some people put them on and they just cannot tolerate them. They're like hypersensitive, they reactive, they have rosacea. So they then know by experience they have to avoid these type of products. So then if you apply this product and your scalp is going to react, then you have to avoid it. If you wash your hair with a higher frequency and if your scalp feels tighter, dehydrated, it feels a certain discomfort, then you know that you're not the person to wash it every day. It's not that the rule applies to everyone the same. Like the ingredients, the way that our scalp reacts and the frequency is something very, very personal.
Okay. But I want to come back to washing the hair. So when I'm washing my hair, I'll go with the scalp and then I take the shampoo and then I also
then you can run the shampoo.
But is that required?
Well, look, let's say Shuemura spent this much money into this beautiful polymer that's going to seal the cuticle and give this shine finish. So look, if the product doesn't run through the shaft, you're not going to get the effect. So yes, eventually you need to run the product through so you can get that component going onto the hair.
Okay.
But primarily what's in the shampoo is the cleansing base. So that's what foams up.
That's the main thing.
And for that to foam up, it means that it's cleansing. So 70, let's even say 80% of a principle of a cleanser is to wash.
And to wash the scalp.
And to wash the scalp.
Not the bottom like me.
And then you run it through the hair. Maybe, I don't know, maybe like because the hair touches the makeup or you've been to a restaurant and it got a smell of food.
Yeah.
Then you wash the hair to remove the product. If you put gel on or if you put too much hairspray, then you need to clean the hair shaft.
Okay.
But you need first to cleanse the scalp. You need to take the excessive oiliness, the excessive buildup of skin that needs to be renewed. You can even exfoliate the scalp like you do with the skin.
How do you exfoliate the scalp?
It's exactly the same. You have those exfoliants that you're going line by line and you apply the exfoliant.
Oh, I've never heard of this.
Oh my God, there are scalp exfoliants.
Oh, wow.
Your public will know.
Okay, fine. I need to get with it.
So it's the same approach as the skin. Like when you go to the salons, they have those brushes with those little pins.
Yeah.
They can give you the,
Yeah, I do that. Okay, so that's exfoliating. Okay.
Yeah, it's an exfoliation.
I have this little massager that works really, really well and kind of just...
So yeah, you can call it a massage.
Yeah.
But it kind of like
exfoliates
the scalp.
Okay.
So invigorates, increases blood flow. It's the same. It's like literally treating the skin. When like cleansing, toner, hydrate. So this is the rule. So the factor is that people that have conditions with the scalp, with high sensitivity, flakiness, dryness, or a topic like psoriasis, eczema, all they do is just wash it. They don't apply anything after to rebalance. So this is the point where there is not much information about how to address the scalp the same way as we address the skin. So if your scalp is not problematic, the cleansing base with a little bit of the balance of the shampoo and the pH balance and the hydrating factors they add on to the components are enough to leave it a feel of moisture.
Okay.
It's almost a 2-in-1. Like Vidal Sassoon has launched back in the years. Like you had a shampoo and the conditioner together. Yeah. So it's almost like you wash and it automatically rebalances the scalp pH and hydrative feel. But sometimes we cannot just do that. Sometimes when we wash it even with a gentler type of cleanser or shampoo, the scalp still needs a layer of protection. And the layer of protection is not the same as we applying a thick cream on the skin that leaves that pasty, oily feeling. But because you have no hair there, eventually the skin will eat the product and the skin will look good. But you don't do that on the scalp because it will make the hair horrible. So then you have to have the same principle, but in a fluid.
Got it.
And what is like that? In a tonic or in a lotion, that you rebuild the protective layer of the scalp to minimize the sensitivity, to rebuild the hydrolipidic film, and without affecting the hair. Because
So what kind
Usually
of a
people,
product is this?
there are many solutions or many formulas. Even I formulate according to the when we do DNA formulations. I always try to integrate to my clients the skincare regime onto the hair care. So that you have your cleanser and you have your moisturizer for the
Hmm.
scalp. So this is totally different than engineering
Oh.
growth or dealing with consequential hair loss or genetic hair loss. This is to do with the health of the scalp, because the scalp is actually where the hair grows from.
So you need to make sure that that's abundant in
That's
nutrition and, well taken care of.
exactly. So the same way as you do with the skin. So, I mean, back in the years, the Philip Kingsley, which is a very, very famous trichologist, and he has a beautiful range of products, which all dedicated for the scalp care. Like, he understood at the time that engineering growth was not just about having the treatments for the growth, but he became very, very known about the amount of technology that he put on the
The
cleansing,
scalp.
onto the toning, onto addressing sensitivity, onto addressing the scalp itself. And that is a good 50% of a successful head of hair, or of a good result for growth, to fight genetics, to fight consequences. It's
Okay.
like, is where the hair lives. So this is
So-
your first plan of action. Address your scalp correctly. So this is what you need to do first.
And does hair oiling help the scalp?
I mean, it's a beautiful ritual. It's really beautiful. It has nothing, again, is a layer of comfort that goes at the surface. It does not do anything inside, the same way as the water. It doesn't, I mean, the oils would not go at the deeper layers of the dermis, unless you would have like a wound that the product would go through. Like, but if you apply a oil, whether it's on the skin, whether if it's on your body, whether it's on the scalp, it will leave this layer at the surface, which has anti-inflammatory properties. It will help to remove toxins. Some oils can actually drain out toxins, like coconut oil. Lavender oil is a very good antiseptic for scalp inflammations, or rosemary oil is very famous to increase blood flow, for instance, and to bring protein or vitamins into the roots. But some oils can actually upset the scalp. So someone with a very sensitive scalp, or eczema or psoriasis, if you apply rosemary oil, ouch, it's going to hurt. So even though that you want to increase growth, you're upsetting your scalp even further. And I'm sure that a lot of people love the ritual of applying rosemary oil, and they really believe, and there is a helping factor there, because by increasing blood flow, you bring in protein onto the root. So if your hair is malnourished in terms of protein or lack of iron, by increasing blood flow, you
are
forcing that
there
to be there. But this is only for protein related reduction. So if you're having genetics, you can put
bottles of
rosemary oil. If someone has the crown already without hair, nothing is going to happen. But if you apply rosemary oil on a very sensitive or reactive scalp, or eczemas or psoriasis or any atopic condition, is going to react. It's very, very powerful. It's very antiseptic, and that is not a good idea for scalp problems. So, I mean, we obviously hear a lot of things on TikTok and on Instagram and all that,
From
and you
people
feel
like
that
me.
everybody is going to react the same, and everybody's going to be happy,
Yeah,
and you just
because-
end up with all these products at the shelf. The one does this, one does that, one does
Yeah,
that.
but that's me right now, Ricardo, because there's actually these there's one hair fall serum and there's one hair growth serum, and I love both. And they both are used every day. And I'm like, oh, but I love both of these. I think they both work for me. So every day I alternate between the two.
That's fine. So
And-
this is a ritual of oiling, pretty much. So you're applying a component on the scalp.
Okay, but you need to know what works for you.
That's the thing. And you pretty much go first by reaction. So if your scalp reacts, you already know the product is not for you. But then you're going by feelings or by results. So then you may be oiling the hair, let's say on the instant. it may not give you a reaction. So let's say my scalp is very oily, but I like to oil my hair. But then if I start getting congestion or built up,
Okay.
then I probably shouldn't
Should-
do it as much, or maybe I should look for a different type of oiling, which is not so saturated, but is more
Lighter.
on exactly. So they can rebalance more of my condition. Because as I say, there is no way that the oil will reach the deeper layers of the dermis. However, some products, whether are cosmetic or oils, can create congestion at the surface. So,
So they
if
can
you do
actually,
that,
oiling can actually do more harm than good.
no,
Okay.
there is no evidence. We cannot categorize that 100%.
Got
So
it.
in some cases, like if the scalp is inflamed or if it's very dry, the oiling is actually a very comfortable thing that will replenish the hydrating
Mm.
layer, and it will make the scalp feel comfortable. It gives a very soothing feeling. So that could work very well as a ritual for dry hair, or even as an anti-inflammatory. They can do wonders. But in some cases, they can actually build up a layer they could congest the roots. And if they're not removed properly,
Mm.
then
So, Ricardo, when I oil my hair, I always lose a lot of hair. Is that normal?
it's always been like that, or you're saying that because you're going from the postpartum?
No, it's always been like this.
It's normal. Like this is the normal average that one loses every time. And because when you oil the hair, it gets a bit stickier.
Yeah.
So when you wash it or when you apply a product, when the hair falls, so when the hair detaches from the roots, throughout the length, sometimes some of the hair stays there. It doesn't,
Yeah.
it kind of stays loose, but it
Yeah.
stays together with the hair. It's only when you brush it that it comes out.
Mm.
When it's with the oil, when you run it through, it because it's sticky, it kind of
Comes
gets
onto your
stuck to your hands. So then it gives you a perception much more hair is falling, but it's pretty much the same amount that you would lose on the normal renewal, because there is an average of hair that you lose every day. So it's not because you're oiling it, you're losing more. But that's the thing. If you feel that this amount of hair that you lose is translating into reduction, then you start seeing that there is no growth coming back. So you don't have smaller hairs and the areas are becoming finer. It's not because of oiling, it's because you're developing genetics.
Got it.
Okay, even if you stop oiling, and I know clients that, I stopped oiling, but my hair kept on reducing. I thought it was from oiling, but it's not from oiling. So what is it? So people also get confused about it. No, it's just because they were already developing genetic reduction. So
Ricardo, why does one say that trimming your hair every few months will help with your hair growth? True or false?
it will help equalize the length. So if you have hair that renewed naturally, and it's at the growth stage.
Okay.
So you have all these small hairs that start appearing, and then they have to extend, and eventually they will meet the longest that you have. So cutting, it just helps equalizing. So it gives you a feeling of fullness, of a more solid.
But it's a feeling.
Thicker. It's a feeling, like
it's a feeling. So cutting your
cutting
hair,
the hair is the same as cutting the nails.
It has nothing to do with
it
hair
will not
growth.
change anything internally.
So,
But in some cases, it depending how fast your hair renews. So in some cases, if you renew too much, or if too much hair falls, then it will take a really long time for all of the hair that is growing to meet the length. So sometimes people need to cut a big amount to get this solid feeling.
What about the foods we eat? Are there particular foods that trigger hair growth?
So for the hair itself, the main ingredient that you need to focus on is the protein. So biotin, cysteine, folic acid, iron. Protein for the muscle is whey protein, creatinine. Protein for the bone, calcium, magnesium. So our body is selective in a sense, but it also uses some elements to compensate others. So if someone is working out and doesn't take enough protein from the food, like animal protein or eggs or I don't
Tofu.
know, tofu.
I'm vegetarian, so tofu,
So you know where
paneer,
to get
legumes. Yeah.
you know where to get your protein. But let's say like you take your protein according to your consumption.
Correct.
But if your energy levels increase, so that now you start doing a super crazy exercise or CrossFit every day.
Yes, you need more protein.
Exactly. So that's the rule. So even though that you're taking amazing protein, it doesn't mean that your body will send it to the hair right away. So oh, I'm taking this biotin 5000, but I'm working like crazy in the gym. So this 5000, which was meant to go to the hair at the normal optimum, is going to be channeled for another organ, which is usually the primary organs.
Oh.
So food for hair is protein for sure, but hair is a secondary organ. So if there is another priority in the body, or if your blood levels are not at optimum, the ones that you're taking for the hair, I'm sorry, but they are not going to the hair.
Oh my God. Because the first thing when my hair fall started, the first thing everyone told me is start your biotin. Start biotin 5000. It's a supplement. It's going to help. But this is
No, it's a good thing to do. It's a
Yeah.
good thing to do. Always up it. So if you're working out more, take the protein for your workouts plus your protein for the hair. So then you need to measure how much more consumption your body is taking so you can up it. And if you take, I mean, you can go to a health store, pick up a 5000, give it a month or two and understand the vigorosity and if the hair benefits from the protein. If the problem remains, then go run a blood test because it might not be just about the protein. It might be very low on iron or very low on folic acid. And your immunologist would not give you a hair supplement if you are anemic. They will give you then the serious support for your immune system. So then, I mean, I know that people do the support thinking of the hair, but then you need to first to replenish your immune system, get to a level which is the minimum acceptable for the primary organs to sustain, and then the hair will get it. So if you are below the range on your protein, on your iron, on your folic acid, on your B12, and you're expecting a biotin to repair the entire blood count plus get to the hair, is not going to happen. So if I know pretty much my bloods are on the range, on the normal range, and I'm just going through a seasonal shedding, let's say September, just because my protein is going down a little bit because of the weather change, but my iron is within the range and everything is within the range. Like my clients come to me, oh, I've done my blood test. Everything is fine. Yeah, everything is fine in what range? Because iron can be from 50 to 150. You can be fine on 50 by the immunology point of view. But it's not
enough for your hair.
But for your hair, you need to be above 80. So yes, you are fine, but you're not fine. So even though, even though that you are fine,
yes,
you need to up it a little bit.
Got it.
Then, okay, you don't need to go to your immunologist to say, oh my God, just because I'm on 50, I'm anemic and I need to do a treatment or iron infusion. No, it's nothing to do with that. Don't panic. You're on your immune criteria. You are fine. However, if you want to exercise more, if you want to have good hair, if you want to have good bone structure, then you need to up those elements more. So if you want to focus on the hair, B12, folic acid, the biotin, cysteine, the iron. So those are the ones to go for the hair. Foods, red meat.
Yes, of course.
It's the highest source of iron. Obviously, there's a lot of people that are vegetarian. They have glorious hair. They have beautiful hair because they have no genetics. So they have hair throughout their entire life. But if they have genetics plus vegetarian and lack of iron, I can tell you is a fast track for the reduction. It's nothing to do just for the fact that people turn vegetarian because they have very healthy vegetarian and very responsible, as you were saying. You're vegetarian, you know where to get your protein from. You mentioned tofu, you know exactly where to get it from, and you monitor your iron levels. And I mean, I say the animal protein for the hair because it is a high source of K and iron. So meaning like if you're taking a food that builds up your iron levels, you're automatically helping the hair. But if it creates poison on your body, or if you don't digest it well, or you don't feel well, you don't need to consume meat or a product that creates complications on other organs. Yeah, like as you were saying, hair is very important, but other organs is important. Like if your cholesterol goes up, or if your body or if your blood type is not able to take certain foods, then you know that you would have to compensate. Once you remove them, you compensate them another way. Okay. So on the general talk is, if you want to give an optimum boost for your skin, you take collagen. You take the optimum boost for your bone, you take calcium. You're gonna optimum boost of protein for your bone structure, or for your muscular structure, you take a whey protein. If you want to do a protein support for the hair, you take your biotin, you take your folic acid, you take your B12. So those are the ones that hair likes most. Okay. But
that's the hair's favorites.
That's the hair favorites. Even if it's in a gummy, or if it's in a multi, or if it's in a mixture like the BB Scal or Nutrafol, ones have more biotin, ones have a bit less. If it's to do with your immune system, forget these cocktails of vitamins. You need to get your immune system supported. So then only an immunologist can prescribe you what is the right dosage. Like, correct. If your iron is below the norm, it's not the gummies is going to bring the ions up to 70 or 80. Then you need the iron infusion. So you need to look into the immune system as
all of
the
it
base
together and wholesome.
So that belongs to the number 3, which is the vitamins and support for the hair structure. So we talked about the scalp, how to wash the scalp, how to oily, how to treat it, pH, all of that. When it comes to vitamins and minerals, what rules is always your own blood count. So the blood count is the essential for every cellular performance on the body, whether if it's joints, whether if it's muscle, whether if it's a bone, whether if it's skin or nails or hair. So you need to have the right amount of protein. You need to be within a range, preferably for the higher number than the lower number, for your entire body to function in harmony. So if you work out more, you know you'll consume more protein. So hair will be the first to be put in standby. If you don't eat as much, or if you're too stressed, or if you jump meals, or if you all of a sudden decide to turn into a vegetarian without the concept of compensating the protein, because some people, I'm going to be vegetarian, and all they start eating is lettuce and vegetables, and they don't calculate their protein support. And you know, this can be very,
of course.
Only for the hair, but can cause a lot of problems. So the immune part, which is the number 3 factor you need to take in consideration that can affect the hair, whether if it's genetic or nothing to do with genetics. So if the protein goes down on the body, that's what you're likely to experience. Reduction of density. So if your protein goes down, you lose muscular density, you can lose bone density, you can lose hair density. Protein is the key for elasticity, strength, and extension. So the only way to develop a hair which is active, dynamic, strong, elastic, thick, is the protein. It's all to do with the protein. It's nothing to do with your genetic. It's nothing to do with your hair color. Obviously, if your hair is naturally fine, if you inherit a hair that is fine with the diameter, with a reduced diameter naturally, you can have an overdose of iron. That's not going to make your hair thicker more than your constitution.
Of course. No, I understand that.
But those elements need to be there for whatever you inducing. Okay. So that's why, like, when people do a stronger workout.
There you go, Ricardo. On this topic.
One for me to take. One for me to take to testing.
Okay, but Ricardo, tell me, what is the one thing that is the worst thing people do for their hair? In your experience, or, like, you've probably met so many people and you're like, oh my God, like, this is something you should not be doing.
I mean, the worst thing people do for the hair is to I think the demands for our hair is so high in terms of the amount of chemical works that we do, and the amount of I think people play too much with the hair. Which is,
Mm.
I mean, hair is to be enjoyed. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's fantastic that boys and girls can bleach the hair and color the hair and have it long or short, and it's I think it's the organ that we can play most with. Like the skin we can put makeup on,
Yeah.
but we don't play with skin shape. I mean,
Yeah.
some people do when they get a lot volumes and stuff, but the hair is what we can play most with. We can change hair color, we can change hair shape, we can mold it, we can, I mean,
Do you think we abuse our hair?
I think we don't do that with any other organ, like the demand. Like when we lift weights according to what we can hold.
Yeah.
When you pull the hair on blow dry, you're doing it every day. Like, can the hair handle this much pressure? Like, people just do it. They don't see the disintegrative part of the hair. Is the hair breaking? Is the hair dry? I think what people do wrong is they don't compensate the damage they create on the hair. So, oh no, I don't like to do mask because it gets too flat. My blow dry doesn't last. Then I go ahead with a hair dryer, but then they start getting like fried hair and frizzy hair. And then hair that doesn't matter if you cut it in the full moon or in the spring. It's just like so damaged that you have to almost like shave it all.
I feel
But
sad.
people
Like
take it for
I'm
granted.
feeling like a relationship with my hair, and I feel like we're actually the ones letting our hair down with the amount of stuff we
in the
do
amount
to
of
it.
stuff that we do, because why? As long as the factory is working well, and some people are so fortunate that they have hair working and growing and being thick, regardless if they bleach it and break and grow back, because the hair keeps coming, people don't think about it. They just don't compensate it anymore, because yes, the factory of the hair, the cuticle production, as long as it's active, and if you bleach it today, tomorrow you have the black roots growing. So, oh yeah, it's fine. Like, this is today, next month I shave it and everything goes back to normal. But eventually this will
have its repercussions. Yeah.
exactly.
We're gonna have
So
to pay
we
the price
do
for that.
too much to the hair, like extensions. We put too much weight, then the hair, there's traction, the hair pulls out, and traction happens when they do the ponytail, the ballerina ponytail, like when the hair gets tight, and then you start pulling the strands, and you start having like a big forehead or like traction, and you don't notice traction the first few years that you do the ponytail every day like this, but like in 5-6 years you realize that your hairline has gone back.
So do you think actually doing that sleek bun or the sleek ponytail is negatively impacting our hair?
I mean, it can create traction, and it does translate into permanent reduction. Some people get a round reduction.
Because I've started doing this a lot, so maybe I'm gonna
look. It's not that if you do a ponytail tomorrow.
Once in a while, yeah, I know, but I think it's becoming. That's the thing, right? We get so caught up in trends. We don't always realize the impact of those trends, which is just like a passing, fleeting moment by someone. We don't account for the long-term effect of that, because that's
and we do that with our immune system. We do that with our body. So why do you work out? Because you want to keep your shape, because you want to keep strong. Why do you take the supplements? Because you don't want to get sick. Why do you support it? It's not talking about genetic problems or immune problems. You're talking about people that want to optimize their health. So you do that with your skin, with anti-aging, and with your body, with immune support. You take IVs, you watch your foods. You want organic elements. You want to minimize the hormonal intake of synthetic foods. Like, people are so educated in that perspective to live better, to live longer. What is your part here about the hair? It's just a shampoo and conditioner? Only when the problem appears, like, oh, I'm going to hold on to everything that happens. I'm going to take all the vitamins I should have taken all my entire life. I'm going to change the shampoo. I'm going to oil my hair. I'm going to check the vitamins. I'm going to take the growth index. I'm going to do PRP. You're going to do all of these things in one go, thinking that you're going to solve damages you create throughout years and years of making the same or creating the same problem. Like, look at the hair the same way as you look at any other organ that needs support. And if your hair thankfully doesn't give you any trouble, And if it grows immensely and you don't have any genetic predisposition and you're lucky to have good hair, you can still optimize it. It's not that my profession is here when people are losing hair. I'm also here to tell you the correct ways to address your hair, to the correct ways to empower your hair, to the correct ways to compensate your hair for the damage that we do.
Correct.
And that's what everybody wants. Everybody
Yes.
wants the hair that is glossy, that is bouncy, that is solid, that it has a normal cycle, that can allow you to be a girl, that can allow you to do color, that can allow you to do blow dries. But you need to compensate that. And this is the factors that you need to work on.
Okay. Ricardo, if there's someone watching who's suffering from hair fall, hair loss right now, what are the 3 things you would tell them to do?
Okay. Even if I'm not able to take a sample to every person and understanding the hair density and the factors that are influencing the factory of the hair at the roots, you can do it yourself. You can do auto analysis yourself. So, and that's why I put this in categories.
Okay.
So you see, how am I washing the hair? So that's the factor you're going to start analyzing. Is the scalp flaking? Is it congested? Is it dry? Is it reactive? So maybe address the cleansing. Use elements that balance the scalp. Give a little bit more care and love to the scalp. It's not just, don't wait for the hair to start fall. This is the one thing to avoid. Start right now. Rethink what you have at home. What is cosmetic? What is scalp? What is therapeutical? It's not like the volume or the polymer or antifreeze. This is cosmetic. That what do you have at home that thinks about the scalp? So this is one thing that you need to think about. Do you have a balancing shampoo? A shampoo that is adequate for your scalp type? It removes the oiliness. It builds the protective film. It's for sensitive scalp. So are the products that you're using addressing the scalp at some point? Even if the consumer say, oh, but I love this shampoo because it keeps my blow dry without frizz for the whole week. Fine. Use it, but at least once a week, do yourself a scalp facial. Give time to focus only on the scalp. Even if you have the worst blow dry that day, then wash it again with a cosmetic shampoo and everything goes back to normal. But then give a day. If the scalp has built up, do an exfoliation. If the scalp is sensitive, change the shampoo at least once a week for a more sensitive scalp. So this is one point. Second point, always verify, regardless if the hair falls a lot, or if you don't have the perception the hair is not falling as much, and you think, oh, my hair is normal, I can do whatever I want, fine. But always verify that whatever is, if you always have small hair growing, even if you have a big amount of hair or just a normal average of hair, is the areas being replenished? Is the hair becoming finer or lacking extension? Oh yes, the hair is growing, but it's lacking extension. So start auto-analyzing how the hair is reacting. Okay. So this is part of the factory of the hair, cuticle and protein bonding. Third point, as you're asking, how are my vitamin intake? Have I become a vegetarian and not compensating the protein? Am I working out too much? Am I not eating on time? Am my my water intake and my iron drop levels crashed? My serotonin is not in time. I don't sleep well. My digestive system is difficult. I don't synthesize enough vitamins. I'm getting toxins on the body. I'm having water retention. So this is to do with the mineral part, with the immune part.
Okay.
So this you can easily do. So if you in doubt, run a blood test. Then if your iron is low, you know that you're taking iron to balance your immune. You're not taking iron and say, iron, go to the hair. No, first is going to build up your immune. There is one step for helping the hair. So these 3 things will help you to address the hair in a more profound way, in a more conscious way. Now, the fourth one, it will come if any of these 3 that you do, like addressing the washing, rechecking if the hair is growing every time it falls, and you're taking care of your immune and your support. And if the hair still doesn't grow, then it's the genetics.
Then it's the genetics. Okay. Thank you so much, Ricardo. I'm not letting you go without taking some of my hair because now you need to examine my hair and tell me what,
so
what it's like.
That's exactly what I do. So like, in most of the cases, when people are very confused about a malfunction of any organ in specific, you're going to analyze that organ. So if you don't see well, you go to optometric. You don't do a blood test. If your bone is losing density, you do densitometry.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. I'm taking a sample. I'm going to X-ray the root of your hair. I'm going to see how your hair is actually absorbing the vitamins that you take. How is the cuticle
I'm
producing?
nervous for the results.
No, it's don't be nervous, because understanding it's just like understanding anything else. If you go do a blood test, you want to see your results. If you're going to do an eye test, you want to see your results. If you're going to do a hair test, you have to see your results. And this helps you to just help it. So if I say to you, like, look, the protein needs to come up, and you say, oh, Ricardo, but I'm taking the iron and everything is fine. I took the analysis and it shows that it's fine. Yes, but on the hair it's still not on. So then we still need to further enhance it. So that will understand you that even with everything that you're doing, sometimes you need to do a little bit more because it's not getting to the hair. And the only way to find out is actually to look at the hair to understand if he's getting the right amount of protein from the bloods, if he has the right component for the cleansing, if he's showing inflammation, if the cuticle is strong enough, if it's the cuticle degenerating, and if there is any signs of genetics. It's good to know. And the sooner that you know, you take the right approach. You take you see it from the right angle. Otherwise, it's a panic, because you don't know if it's hormonal, if it's permanent, if it's this, if it's that. You don't know if it's going to grow back. You start taking everything. You start mixing up technologies. You're taking hormonal medication for genetics, and it's a consequential that you have. You're taking vitamins that you don't need.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. So knowing your hair is just going to give you the knowledge.
Okay. Cool.
It's like doing the skin scan. Like, you need to see the hydration. You want to see everything about your hair. It's nothing to be nervous about.
Okay. So is it going to hurt me?
No.
Is he in the frame if Ricardo stands up?
So it's a very simple thing to do. So I will take only 2 hairs, and they need to be collected from a specific point, which is between the top and the side and front and back. So it's just kind of in the middle here.
Okay.
And I'm gonna take a little bit of tape.
With the current situation, you won't have to do much. It's just going to come off.
No, that's what everybody says. Like, oh, if you run your fingers through, a lot of hair comes out. And then when I collect the hairs to extract, sometimes they're hard to pull.
Oh. But okay, while you're seeing my scalp right now, is there anything you can see or tell? Or
your scalp looks pretty balanced.
okay.
So I don't see any redness or any flakiness. So it looks pretty good to me. And I'm sure you do good hair care as well.
I mean, right now I do a lot of hair care, Ricardo. Anything to
it looks
get
shiny.
these back.
The scalp looks very, very nice and moisturized as well.
Okay, thank you.
But still, even though that you look after your hair very well, you're still experiencing the post-pregnancy shedding, which, yes, washing your hair correctly and doing the right treatments is very important. But again, it doesn't address everything.
Yeah.
Even though that you do a good
You
care.
got it?
So yeah, 2 hairs.
Okay.
I don't know if they can catch it on camera.
Okay.
But it's just 2 hairs. And our scanner is just going to look at the very beginning of the root.
Okay, perfect.
So I'm going to understand the factors that are upsetting the stability of the hair.
Do you have it with you? Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ricardo.
Thank you.
And
I hope I managed to
No, you were amazing.
give you
and we've
help
been planning this
to
for
put your
so long.
mind at
You
ease.
did. I think information, awareness, acceptance, so important, right? With like anything you deal with in life. But I think hair fall and hair loss, there's such a lack of information out
That's
there.
the thing. And even with a lot of information, people still get confused.
Yeah.
And there is this fear of knowing. You should stop fearing to understand what's going on. Like, as you say, oh my God, you're going to test the hair. I'm scared. Like, you need to know. And if there's a course of action that you need to take, you better know it sooner than later. Like, anything with your immune system, if your body needs support, you better do it sooner than later. And the hair is the same. So don't be scared.
Yeah.
Look at all the factors that are causing impact and imbalances on the hair, take your actions, take your supplements, change your washing, do all the things that you can do to address and to benefit the hair, but don't neglect the fact that if the hair persists into falling and any of these things are working, then you need to take further action.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ricardo.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for being here.